My name is Tony Vanderwillen. I work for the Legislative Technology Service Bureau in Madison, Wisconsin. Presentation today is making census data better in Wisconsin. And before we get started, I'd like to introduce my GIS team. We got Ryan Squires over there in the back, Jim Bowden, and Grace White up here in the front. They're going to help along with the presentation today. What we're going to talk about today is first, the Census Bureau's Boundary and Annexation Survey, and also the consolidated BAS effort that's going on in Wisconsin. The software helping to improve census data, including LTSB's data collection tool and the BAS tool. Also, the new Wise Decade web platform, and hopefully Grace is able to hand out some brochures that you might be able to see. If you have some questions, though, too, we can answer them after the presentation. Then we'll also get into the LTSB bill draft. So that's just some legislation to change some statutes and hopefully help the process of making boundaries better in census data, and also for the whole redistricting process and election administration in the state. We're going to follow that up with some software demonstrations by Ryan and Jim, just to give you an idea, or Jim's got slides. It's not really a demo. But why are we doing this? The Tiger boundaries that are used by federal and state government programs. The Census Bureau is a steward for these national geographic boundaries. Geographic errors in the Census Bureau's Tiger data greatly affect things like local redistricting. And if, by a show of hands, did anybody go through local redistricting here in the room? No, it's participation. You can see a couple. And did you use the WiseLR application that we created? Okay, I see one person, two, three, maybe. Okay. As you can tell, we took a ton of phone calls on that application. Most of them had to deal with census boundaries. The census boundaries being on, trying to compare them to local boundaries that were in the system, and trying to figure out exactly how to create a ward with the census blocks when the boundaries were off. That carried over into legislative redistricting, because the same boundaries they used were constitutionally required to use census data for redistricting at the state level. So some of those boundaries are carried over, and we did see problems in Rock County, per se. There were some issues with the town of Harmony, and that's a recurring theme over the decade. Election administration, it also carries over there. With the Government Accountability Board going to geographic boundaries in their state voter registration system, county clerks and city clerks were logging into their system seeing that the boundaries were off. So how do you hold an election in an area where the boundaries are off? You need to get accurate data in there, and that's what they chose to do. So trying to sync everything up together, that's why we're trying to do this. The Boundary and Annexation Survey through the U.S. Census Bureau is a voluntary program. It happens every year. It's happened every year for the last, I don't know how long it's been going on. It's been going on a while. The thing to note, it is voluntary. And over the course of the last 12 to 14 years, the response rate has been 14% for Wisconsin. So that program is the opportunity for local governments to get their municipal boundaries into the Tiger database. So if the participation is low, the boundaries tend to be off. There's also some other things that hindered the program itself, and that was the Census Bureau's ability to actually consume data from locals. So if the locals were willing to participate and give the data to the census, there was no guarantee that the boundaries would actually be inserted if it wasn't done properly. So there was a lot of hoops to jump through. Municipalities and counties are the only entities that can legally update those boundaries in the Tiger data. So if there's no participation, the boundaries stay as they are. And that's why you see so many annexations are not put into Tiger properly, or if they are, they're not put in spatially accurate. Surveys are sent to the highest elected official in each community. In Wisconsin, there's 1,850 approximately municipalities in the state. So they would send out a paper form to every single one every year saying, are your boundaries correct? Most of the time they were ignored. But if they did happen to check a box saying that, no, they're fine, or they didn't look at the census data, their square, if they were a township, might necessarily have been a square. And there's a lot of cases, if you look at tiger data, where that's the case. The consolidated boundary effort in Wisconsin, we started a grassroots effort, WLA, a couple years ago to try to get a consolidated effort in Wisconsin. This effort for bass gives the Census Bureau the ability to work with 72 counties instead of 1,800 municipalities. It also allows local governments to give counties the authority to submit their boundaries to the census. Since we started doing this, the participation has grown over time. And the key to that is when local governments sign up, they only have to sign up once. So it's a rolling program. Once you sign up, you're in the program until a municipality says, I want to get out of it. And again, that program allows the bass participants or the county to submit boundaries legally on behalf of the municipality. Some other facts about the consolidated boundary effort in Wisconsin, participation in sea bass. In 2012, we had 2 counties signed up. 2013, 28 counties signed up. 2015, for this bass cycle, we have 48 counties signed up. And I'll show you a map in a minute. But there's still an opportunity to participate as a county consolidated bass. So if you want, you can still fill out the paperwork. The Census Bureau will pre-populate the paperwork for you with the appropriate people, and all you need to do is get the signature or confirmation from email that they want to be part of the program. So if you submit past the deadline for signing up for consolidated bass, those municipalities will still get the forms, but it's still okay for the county to submit on behalf of the municipalities. And again, if anybody has any questions, just ask them. Bass 2014 was canceled due to funding. There was a government shutdown, so they decided to cancel bass. It's the first time they actually did that in a very long time. And just some other things. Again, it was a grassroots campaign. LTSB provided a bass utility tool that we'll get into and show a demonstration of in a minute. And also, this tool also provided for the potential for a statewide municipal boundary layer directly from the counties. As you can see, this chart here, I don't know if it's kind of hard to see, but there are 18% of basically the population in Wisconsin are now participating in bass. There's a couple counties that were asked but said they don't want to participate at all at this point in time. But about 81% of the state has signed up for consolidated bass, 82%. So that's a great effort for Wisconsin. Here's another representation of it. Here's the map. Green counties are participating in 2015. Gray haven't responded yet. Red have responded as not this year. So here's the counties in green. Again, it adds up to just under 82%. Talk a little bit about technology, the LTSB data integration tool. The goal was to allow counties to quickly and easily compare their data to U.S. Census Bureau data, provide the necessary files and documentation to send it to the Census Bureau very quickly and easily. We wanted you guys to have the ability to take your data, insert it in, quickly compare it, have it formatted correctly, and in fact we went through their 72-page document to figure out exactly what they needed, and we put that in the tool. Some technical things about the tool. It's an ESRI add-in, so you download it from our website, you double-click it, and it should install fairly quickly, just within seconds. It works with versions of ArcGIS, ArcDesktop, Basic, and at 10.1 and 10.2. It does require an 18 megabyte download of data, which is the census data you're comparing data to. And you can find the documentation and instructions on how to get the program at legis.wisconsin.gov/GIS/BASS. Something new we want to talk about today, LTSB in the past has provided the WiseLR application to counties, to municipalities for local redistricting. also the data integration tool, and also a statewide collection tool. What we're going to do is provide all of those services into one website. We're going to call it WISE Decade. This website will not go away. Counties will have permanent logins to the website. They'll be able to upload their BAS data. They'll be able to track their historical boundary changes that they've made and submitted to the census. They'll also be able to perform local redistricting on here, or redistricting mid-decade, supervisory districts or any other district you may want to create. And again, the statewide data collection piece of this. This will actually, any data that's uploaded here will be included in a statewide data set. So it'd be published out to our website. We'd be stewards of the data. We wouldn't be altering the data. We may alter the attributes to make them the same as far as the schema goes, but the data would be posted out via a feature web service for everyone to see. Statute changes. This is kind of a big deal for us. The Census Bureau went through, took all the information that we gathered over the last local redistricting cycles. We've also talked to municipal clerks, county clerks, land information officers, talked to state government agencies and asked them what would help with local redistricting, making data changes or boundary corrections for the U.S. Census Bureau and for collecting statewide data sets. We came up with a bill draft that addresses all of these things. The key thing is here, there are changes during the local redistricting period, all the years ending in 1, and there are changes for the rest of the decade. This is kind of a crazy slide. I'm not going to read it. There's a nice little chart here. And if you have your brochure, actually this chart is in there, and it lists the changes that we're talking about. But basically, during a local redistricting period, if you are over population of 1,000 per municipality, you must divide into wards. That report must be sent to the county clerk with a list of blocks during the redistricting cycle. If you were over 10,000 per municipality, that also had to go to the legislature. We're deleting that requirement and just asking all municipalities to send that information to the county clerk, where it can be compiled, and during a redistricting year, that information needs to be sent to the clerk by October 15th. That's actually 15 days after the normal requirement. Within the 2 weeks after that, the county clerk, or with help from the Land Information Office, will gather that information and send it to LTSB after that local redistricting period, in the year ending in 1, all the information for the county with a block list and a map. Another big change here with the local redistricting statutes for the year ending in 1. If you logged into WiseLR and you saw your boundary was off and you called us, there was no relief for you. We couldn't tell you to split the block to make the boundary accurate. Now you can. With the statute, it gives the municipality the ability to see if there's a boundary that's off within the Tiger data, even after we've done all these corrections. You have the ability now to create a ward between the boundary layer that the census says is the boundary and what you say is the accurate boundary. That allows you to split a block and gives you relief. If you have questions about that, let me know. But that is probably one of the bigger pieces of the legislation. Also, the application, we're asking that, and I guess, let me look at the slide. Statute changes for all the rest of the years, not just the years ending in 1. The bill directs each county clerk or board of election commissioners no later than January 15th and July 15th of each year to transmit to LTSB in an electronic format, which would be the WISE Decade application or a GIS format specified, a report confirming all the boundaries at the ward level for their county. This snapshot date will be as of January 1 and July 1. These dates are not arbitrary. We picked them because of the census cycle for the BAS program and also for the Government Accountability Board's state voter registration system. Once this data is collected, LTSB would act as a steward of the data. We would hold on to it, make it available to anybody who wants the data, including the Government Accountability Board or any state agencies or local governments that need the data. The bill also states that upon getting this information for LTSB, we need to give it to the Census Bureau if they're offering any data improvement programs. It actually alters our statute to say that. That's all I have before we get into demonstrations. Does anybody have any questions for me? I know it's a morning, it's census data. So, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be here. Brian Squires is going to come up. We're going to kind of transition here into a demonstration of the BAS utility. We'll be doing this in ArcMap basic license.
Hello. I think most of you from counties have used the application probably in the past, right? In the last couple of years. We're translating this desktop application to a web application that Jim will talk about soon. This has been pretty well received by most people that have used it. What problems we've had are install issues unrelated to the actual application. Mostly has to do with internal structures of their C drives and stuff, and with updates for data. So by moving to the web application, hopefully we'll be eliminating some of these issues. But for now, we're supporting the desktop application. We will in the next couple of years. And so we'll fully move over to MyState data. So the application is just a toolbar. It's an add-in, so it's installed by double-clicking. We download the application. It comes in as a .esri add-in file, which is technically a .zip file, but Windows tries to help you. You download the file, rename it for you to .zip, which doesn't help anybody. So if you download the file and it comes up as a weird blank document, just change the extension to .esri add-in and it'll install. About half of Windows users have this issue, and there's nothing we can do about it. So Windows is too helpful, as usual. So the application is a simple toolbar. Here's 3 buttons to it. One of them is just a help button. I'm presenting Kewaunee County right now. So if I was Kewaunee County, I would upload my municipal boundaries here, which I happen to have right here. Open. Give some notes about what you're about to do. Select your county, state. We're doing boundary corrections, annexations, so it's the top toggle. If you're a municipality, you need to check that, or else it won't be reading correctly. We're a whole county right now, so we'll use that. We require your email and your name because it's also an FTP, a copy of your data to us. We don't want people to send it to us. It's an official submission. So I will be a very official person right now. There's my email. So as this is running, what it's doing is basically a symmetrical difference, but it's not using the geoprocessing tool, symmetrical difference, which is an advanced license tool, just from scratch. It's filtering out differences between census data and your own data, and then filtering those change polygons by what's a 30-foot width requirement. So there's thousands of slivers if you run through without a filter, but we require a 30-foot minimum width, which is defined as a 15-foot radius circle fitting within the change polygon to be acceptable. It'll do all the attributes for you. It'll do anything that you do exception-wise. And then it'll come up with the change polygons and allow you to document now. So when you run through BAS, it requires 2 different types of changes. One's a correction to their horrible data, and one's an annexation to document your changes. Census is missing annexations for several counties back 10 years, and unless you know every single annexation your county's had in the last, or your city's had in the last 10 years, which most people probably not, we use some tools to help you find what those are, what they're missing. Laptop's a little slow. Let's see. Stand and watch it spin for a while. Delay. We're writing an application right now actually to update for 2015's new extension of and more pages of requirements for them. As we mentioned, there was 70-some pages earlier of very specific requirements, and if they're not exactly correct, they won't accept your changes. So we're working with them and getting their approval for this product last couple of years, and the output, making sure that it's exactly what they want to get our data up. Maybe this will finish one day. It's taking me for a while. This laptop is Intel i5s. Bear with me. Most counties, like Kewaunee on my computer at work, takes about 30 seconds. Dane County takes about a minute and a half. And my computer is just a standard full processor machine. Should have a faster laptop.
Does anybody have any questions before it finishes with the application itself, or have any experiences using it? Okay. Again, we had quite a few people submit data to the Census Bureau, and because the program actually ceased happening in 2014, you're not going to see those boundary corrections and alterations to the Tiger data just yet. Those files are still coming out. The Census Bureau, when they actually lost their funding, they let go of quite a bit of people who were actually doing the BAS processing. And as of October, they got the money back for that program. So they're in the process of rehiring people to do the BAS processing. So it'll take them a little bit of time to take those changes that were submitted a while ago and insert those back into the Tiger database.
So Tony, when do you think we'll be seeing the 2015? What are you anticipating? You know, that we'll get the announcement, and that we'll be back running your tool and all that kind of stuff.
It's a good question. Timelines are a big deal. The data is released to us in December for this. So they'll send out packets of information in the December timeframe for the 2015 BAS. And we're going to have also letters and documentation sent out to you about the BAS tool. It would just be a letter I sent out via email to anybody who's interested. It'll go to the county clerks, and they'll probably recommend land information offices to run the application. That'll happen in the December timeframe. The key to remember is that the processing time for census is the prior year. So you're going to enter all your 2014 annexations in for 2015, starting on January 1, finishing up on March 31st. We've had counties in the past that have told us running the tool actually took them about a half an hour compared to about 3 months of work that they did in the past trying to work with the Census Bureau. So hopefully they'll save you quite a bit of time.
We'll actually be loading 2 years since they didn't do it in 14, right? So
yep.
We'll be looking from 2013 and 14.
Yep, you'll be looking at that. You should see the changes in the data coming up. So like in 2015, they'll get the data by March 31st. They'll process the data throughout the summer for the release of the 2015 Tiger files that'll come out in the spring of 16. You'll see the data. And if I get any preliminary data, I'll share it with you guys as well. So sometimes you'll send it to me. Right. I guess you set to go.
So these are change polygons. This is the census line right here, and this is the accurate data. Stuff like this is filtered out where it's not being the primary size-wise. So these tools now, this documentation tool is going to help you figure out where your annexations are. So most counties or municipalities, this is kind of more geared towards a county user. They would say if towns haven't really annexed into towns ever, so you throw all those out. There haven't been any annexations for the last 10 years, throw all those out. Anything that's going in and out of the lake, I don't probably need that. Throw all those out. And you can see I only have 33 now, changes remaining that I need to look at and see if I need to document. Documentation is just, it was required that you had to do a PDF or a web link to your actual documentation for your annexation or the ordinance. Now you see the ordinance number and the effective date. So I'd write, ordinance, was effective this day, of course. It's documented. When you're ready, click finish, and it'll zip it all up and give you a simple zip file. You just hit an email to the census, and you're done.
So the one thing to note is that when you're dismissing things, you're not actually dismissing things. You're just saying they're not annexations. What they actually are boundary corrections. All that data, those symmetrical differences, are going to the Census Bureau to be corrected. Only the ones that you've identified as annexations need documentation. And that's just a reference number or ordinance number. If you put that in there, we'll insert it right into the files that go directly to Census. And if Ryan wants to show it here, there's a folder called Output for your particular thing. That is the file that you'll send to the Census Bureau, and there's instructions. We have actually the link to the FTP site where you upload it. Okay? Questions?
Hi, my name is Jim Bowden. This will be really short and sweet. I'm just going to show you some slides of what the new application is going to look like. We're targeting moving this to production in about a month or so here, or I should say test. And we're going to do some testing there, and we're looking to release this probably early January for our first pilot. So we're looking for people to participate in the pilot of the new application. So if anybody's interested, please come contact us after the presentation here. As we were talking before, this is going to be sort of our portal to all the services that we create for you guys. WISLR, the consolidated BAS. This is your one-stop shop. So we're trying to make this easy for you guys and sort of consolidate in one place. So when you log in, this is the first screen you're going to see. This is sort of our dashboard. This is where all our services are going to be provided. What we're looking at right now is the top part here is the CBAS data collection part. What you're going to see here is the current project that you've uploaded, the last time you actually uploaded data, and then the session, which I think I've changed that, and then the date finalized. The finalized date means the date that you said, I'm done with all the documentation, go ahead and send this off to Census. So that if that's not filled in, you're still working, you're in the process of working on your data. If this is blank, you just haven't uploaded any data. So when you come in, you'll see what you've been working on. If you want to start with a whole new BAS entry, you just go up to upload data. What you're going to do is you're going to upload a zip file, and that zip file is, I think, pretty much what you're submitting to the desktop application. The only difference is you're not going to see the thing sort of working. What it does in the background, we pass it off to Ryan's back-end software. He does all the processing. When that's done, it's going to send you an email to tell you, hey, you're ready to go. You can start documenting your change files. So it's a little bit different. We're still working through how long that process is going to take. I think, as you was talking before, Dane County, 10 minutes through the web thing, maybe a little bit longer. So once you, once you come in and you get that email, you simply click this link and it's going to take you to the documentation portion of the application. The only other thing to look at here is the click here to see the statewide data viewer. When we get all the statewide data, we're creating these services that in a data viewer you can look at, or we're also going to provide REST endpoints so you can consume that data within ARC if you'd like. So, and we're looking at having the MCD data and the ward data for the entire state. So this is the tool. It's very simple. I was going to demo it today, but it was going to be like 2 minutes. It's fairly easy. What you do is, if you look up in the top portion here, it's kind of got the same drop down that he had in the desktop application. You can select one of the numbers there, which is just the change feature, or you can go back and forth. You can filter based on ones that that you have documented or you have undocumented, so you can see what work you've done so far. You can also filter by the changes that he had before. He was showing the town to town. You can filter those out too. You can dismiss boundary correction, just a little button there. You can undo the last one, or I should say you can keep on going back. So it's always keeping track of which ones that you've dismissed and which ones haven't. Down here, we have just a simple entry for the resolution number, the effective date. When you punch those in, hit save. It saves it to the database. And that's about it. Once you've done all this work, you simply hit this button here. This tells Ryan's software to process this, put it together, zip it up, and send it off to Census. Once you do that, you're done. You don't have to do anything else until the next cycle. If for some reason that you found that you forgot an annexation or something, you can actually go through this whole process again, but you don't have to enter all those past annexations. What happens is we have a tool that overlays the previous data that you put in and actually fills in all that data, so you really only have to go back and finish the new annexation. So there's sort of some helpful tools there that if you forget something and need to redo it again, you don't have to go through and do all that whole work again. Any questions?
Again, thank you for taking the time this morning and having us present here today. If there's any questions about any of this, you can always contact myself or any of my staff. Our contact information is on that pamphlet that was handed out. Otherwise, you can find us. So thank you very much.